Okay, first things first, I'd like to just brag for a second. Today, I cut my own hair, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. What is up, people? Dunna here, and today we're gonna take a look at how I do my live streams from my home studio. More than ever right now, people are using live streams as a way to connect with their audiences. And specifically right now, while we're all stuck at home, we're doing lots of video conferencing and those kinds of things to make sure that we connect with other people in general. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight on how I set up my live streams, and I use the same setup to do my video conferencing. I have two main ways that I do live streams, the first of which is just me and a camera, and that's a much simpler setup. And the second one is when I need to share my screen. For example, I did a live stream recently that was me editing your guys' photos, as well as I have been doing live streams over on my recording studios channel that are basically me making music live for an hour or so. So we're gonna go through how I set all of that up. We're gonna talk about all of the gear that I use, including audio, video, lighting, and some of the special little tools that I'm using to make the live stream happen. And I'm basically just gonna talk about why I chose to do things the way that I did. All right, let's head over to my desk where I typically do my live streams, and I'll start showing you what's going on. Okay, I know what you're thinking right now. Dunna, your hair looks pretty good from the front, but how does it look from the back? I have no idea. I'm gonna try not to turn away from the camera so that nobody ever has to know. So this is what my desk looks like when I'm getting ready to stream. It's much cleaner than it normally is, just in case some of it gets in the shot. And as you can see, I've got a 2-monitor setup, my MacBook over on the right, and then I've got my BenQ monitor on the left. And I'll leave links for all the gear in the description so that if you want to go check out and get more details, just in case I missed something, you can always head down there and check it out. Now for me, when I'm live streaming, a lot of the time I'm sharing my screen, so the dual monitor system is a must-have so that I have one monitor where I can look at what I'm doing, whether that be making music or editing a photo. And then on the other monitor, I can see what's happening in the chat and be answering questions and just make sure that my live stream is running well. So as you can see, I've got my camera up here. This is the Sony a6600 with the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens on it. I really like using the 6600 instead of my a7 III for a couple of reasons. First of all, it has excellent autofocus. Second of all, because of the flip up screen, I can see if there's any problem with the picture or anything like that before it actually gets to the live stream. So what I mean by that is if I have my a7 III, even if I have a monitor plugged into it, sometimes I don't get some of the alerts and stuff that happen, or if I'm running low on battery, I don't know what's going on there. Now specifically with the a6600 right now, there are 2 cables plugged into it. I've got an HDMI cable that's running to my capture card, and then I've got a USB cable that's plugged into an outlet so that I never really have to worry about running out of battery. And I've got it mounted up there on a friction arm that's just attached to the back of the BenQ monitor stand. And the nice thing about the way that it's attached is that I can raise and lower my monitor without it actually moving where the camera is. Typically, I keep my monitor as low as it can go, but if I need to get cables or anything like that into the side of the MacBook, it's nice to be able to move it up out of the way, do whatever I have to do in the limited ports that come on the MacBook, and then put this back down where I want it. Also on the friction arm, I've added a quick release plate so that I can take my a6600 on and off a little bit easier than having to like screw it onto that friction arm every time. So that friction arm just stays up there all the time now. And beyond just having that quick release plate on the friction arm is really nice because you can really point it anywhere you want. I can move that around however I want to get a nice view. Now, in order to live stream with your mirrorless or DSLR camera, for most cameras, you're going to need some kind of a capture card that takes the HDMI signal out of the camera and connects it to your computer in a way that the computer can read. My go-to for a long time has been the Camlink. Now, this is just a super simple HDMI in on one side and USB on the other side. No bells and whistles. It basically just converts the signal to what it needs to be, and then you can open up your software that you're using to do the live stream and choose Camlink, and you're good to go. Recently, I've been streaming with this. This is the Cloner Alliance Flint 4KP Plus. It's got a little bit more as far as bells and whistles go, but to be completely honest, I haven't had enough time with it to completely give you my opinion on it yet. It has the HDMI in and out, so if you want to go to a separate monitor after it converts the signal, you still can. As well as on the other side, you've got a line out so that you can have headphones in here. You've got a microphone in and a line in. So there's just a little bit more that you can do with this one, but to be completely honest, I've only really used it as a video converter so far, the same way that I was using the cam link. So like I said, the jury's still out on this one until I get to try all the bells and whistles. Now I've got a piece of Velcro on the back of this, and I've got a matching piece on the stand of my monitor that this connects to. So this stays back there all the time with that HDMI that's coming out of the camera connected to it. And it's got a USB-C that just dangles until I'm ready to use it and I plug it into my MacBook. Now, as far as audio goes, I've had two different setups that I use depending on how I'm feeling on the day. The first option is what I kind of consider the simple option, and that is the Rode VideoMic NTG. And the reason that it's so simple is because I just plug it straight into my computer via USB-C. Because the VideoMic NTG has its own preamp built in and USB-C out, it acts as its own interface. So you don't need to plug it into anything before the computer to set the level properly. And if you really want, the typical 1/8 inch out on the other side that normally connects to your camera can become a headphone out so that you can monitor what the microphone sounds like. Now I've just got it fastened to the monitor riser on my desk via another one of those awesome little friction arms. They really come in handy. Now when I want to go the extra level, I pull out this guy. This is the Rode NT1A, and this is actually one of the condenser mics from my recording studio. Now the catch with this guy is that you need to have an interface to plug it into because it's just a standalone microphone with an XLR output. So down behind things here, I've got the Focusrite Scarlett 2i4, and that's my recording interface. It's got 2 inputs with XLR or 1/4 inch input abilities, and then it's got 4 outputs as well as a headphone jack. So on the right-hand side here, I can connect my headphones or I can connect my speakers, which are always connected anyway. And I've got separate volume controls for those so I can decide without having to plug or unplug anything. I've always been a big fan of both Rode microphones and Focusrite interfaces and preamps, so this is just an awesome combination for me. One little thing to note is that on the VideoMic NTG, I do leave the little foam wind protector, and on the NT1A, I've got this pop shield. These things are important because if you're talking directly into the microphone, it can actually distort the capsule of the microphone if you don't have something protecting it. I just recently got this little guy and I absolutely love it. It's so handy because it just goes on with elastics. The style that I typically use at my recording studio have this long gooseneck kind of thing, and if you move the microphone, you then have to figure out a way to move the pop shield as well. I have a funny feeling like I'll be getting more of these. It's getting hot in here. So we've covered our video, we've covered our audio. Let's talk about lighting for a second. So for my live streams, as well as for most of my videos, I've got the 300D Mark II from Aperture up here in the corner, and I just kind of swivel it to point it where I need it at the specific time that I'm using it. And as you can see, I've got the Light Dome 2 up on it with no grid or anything on it. It does a great job of giving me a nice soft light that kind of covers the whole desk. And then this being over here behind me against the black wall, I've got 2 different lights. I've got the Aperture 120D up on a C-stand with a boom arm, and it's coming out with the Light Dome Mini version 2 and a grid on it, so it kind of makes it a little bit more directional, and that's kind of giving me just like a backlight, hair light to give a little bit of shape and a little bit of depth. And then down below that, I've got the Pixel K80, and that is a panel LED light, and it's got a blue gel on it, just like that. And that gives us a little pop of color on the background. I like to use a blue in the background, something that is just like different than my skin tone, so that when I get to color correcting, I can get my skin looking the way that I want it to look without it affecting the background. So this is basically what it would look like and sound like when I'm doing a live stream. The set is kind of ever evolving. I just moved into this place, so I'm sure it'll change a little bit as time goes. One of the reasons why I chose to do this specific angle is because I wanted to be able to see the piano when I'm making music. Like I said, I've been doing live streams for my recording studio, but from home because of the current situation. So this specific view allows the viewers to be able to see what I'm doing when I'm making music. Now, all that being said, that's only one part of the live stream. Like I said, there's 2 kinds of live streams that I do. There's one where I'm just talking to the camera like this, but then there's another one where I'm showing what's going on my screen. So I'm going to go to a screen capture and show you guys what that looks like. So this piece of software is called OBS, and it allows me to add things on top of the screen like you're seeing right now. We've got the coffee break with Donna Did It, and then we've got at the bottom this kind of scrolling text that just reminds everyone to leave a like, be kind to everyone, thanks for watching, all of that kind of stuff. Just some nice little touches that kind of make it feel like you're kind of taking things to the next level, which is really nice. Now, like I mentioned before, I've got two different looks, and within OBS, you can set up things called scenes like this down here. And right now I've got it on the cam only, so it's only showing the camera with the overlay on it. And I can take any of that away. Like if I wanted to just go to the camera, I can hide those things. So now we're just looking at the camera, then I put the overlay on, and then I put the scrolling text on. And if you want to create an overlay like that, all I did was did this all in Photoshop, and you just make sure that it's a PNG and that the space that you want to come up as transparent, you just leave nothing in it, and you can select that in Photoshop. If you guys want a tutorial on how to do that, just let me know in the comments below. Like I said before, the scenes down in the bottom corner here, they allow you to switch through to different looks. So the second scene I have is screen and cam, so it's going to show the screen and the camera. So right now I've got myself in the little bottom corner here, and then where all this black area is, that would be me showing you what's going on my screen. So I'll do it for a second, but it's going to look crazy because it's going to show OBS. So like that, so we've got the crazy effect going on, but that's showing you guys on my screen what's happening on my screen. I'm gonna take that away before it makes me sick. So for example, when I did my live stream of editing your guys' photos in Lightroom, it showed Lightroom there. And when I do my music live streams, it shows my Pro Tools session so that I can show you guys what I'm doing in the session, and I can talk about how I'm making music essentially. So that's OBS, and there are a lot more things that you can do with OBS, especially if you're using a PC. OBS doesn't necessarily play nice with Macs all the way. I've definitely found some glitches with it, and there are some extra plugins and things that you can use attached to OBS to, let's say, get your chat on the screen or do counters of super chats and that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out a way to do that with the Mac quite yet. I don't know if it's a limitation because of OBS or because of the other software that you need to hook up to OBS to make that happen, but one way or another, I haven't figured it out yet. So this is as far as we've gotten, and I think it looks pretty good. It gives a little bit more of a professional feel to have that overlay and to have the scrolling text at the bottom. And there's just one final thing that I use to try and take my streams to the next level, and that's this guy here. This is called the Stream Deck from Elgato. This is the Stream Deck Mini, I believe. I think there's a bigger one as well, but basically it allows you to customize certain buttons so that you can change between scenes in OBS. It does a whole lot more than that, but that's what I'm using it for currently. So on each button, one of my different scenes, and I've got things like the thumbnail, so I can switch straight to the thumbnail, or I can go to cam only. I can go to the screen and cam, which obviously looks crazy right now. Sometimes I make these be right back thumbnail type things just in case I have problems or whatever and I have to step away for a second. And then the last button I have is set up to turn the mic on and off. And that just allows me to mute it if I have to cough or something like that. Now, one thing that I'm just starting to get into is an iPhone app called Touch Portal, and it seems like it has similar functions to the Stream Deck. Basically, you set it up, you customize what the buttons do, and you can connect it to OBS so that you can control it that way without having to buy the extra hardware. You just have an app on your phone, it connects to your computer, and you're good to go. That's another one of those things where I just haven't had enough time with it to necessarily suggest it or tell you whether it's good or bad or whether it works well or not. But if it does what it says it does, then it would be cool. So that's how I set up for my live streams. If you feel like I missed something or if there's something else that you want to know, make sure to let me know down in the comments and leave me any questions down there that you want to. And on your way down, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss when I post new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.